So you have probably heard the sentiment at some point that wide-angle lenses are landscape lenses. And when I worked in a photography store 6 years ago, that was kind of how you presented it to the customers. You need to a wide-angle lens because then you can take in the entire landscape. Let me just put it like this. In the meantime, I have become smarter, and I think that is fair enough. I'm driving around today in the Danish countryside. It is beautiful. The rapeseed fields are blooming. I don't think they have topped just yet. I'm driving around and trying to see if I can find some compositions. And I've come by this one right here, with this field right here. And all I really have as a focal point or an anchor point are these power lines here. And to get the photo, putting on a wide angle lens, you can see actually I'm recording fairly wide angle with my DJI Osmo right here. You can see how the rapeseed field is actually not looking particularly interesting. Like, there are quite a lot of holes in it. It would be nice if it was just yellow all the way up to the pole up there. So I put on my Tamron, trusty Tamron 28-200 in this case here. And it means that I can photograph from a lower angle, which looks something like this here. So put up the camera and simply just going down on my knees. This is going to be a workout session. And then I simply just find a composition where I include some of the flowers here in front, while I've zoomed a little bit in on the pole there in the background. So we focus on it and get the shot. And maybe a little bit lower, so I have a little bit in the foreground. And it's just a question about moving a little bit back and forward and trying to see if I can cover up. You can see those tractor tracks there in the middle. See if I can find an angle where I can cover them up, and then I can get a nice composition. So once I've found the composition, found a few more compositions, it's basically just about waiting for the clouds to be in an optimal position. There are some light rays coming in. I want to try to catch some of those. But the clouds in themselves are also really cool because they're really dark and blooming and quite dramatic also. Settings wise, also very simple. I'm just shooting at like f8. I get plenty of blur in the foreground. I may even stop down to f11. Nice and sharp field there in the background, and the telephone mast, a power line mast, and then a little bit of blur in the foreground. Super simple. Yeah, okay, power lines are maybe not the most interesting subject in the entire world, but I find the photos to be a good representation of the Danish countryside. At least the composition works great. Both photos has a subject or an anchor point, and both photos are well balanced. The horizontal with the power pole and light rays being equal distance from the middle, and a central composition of the vertical photo. In the horizontal photo, I let the out of focus flowers be the bottom of the frame, while on the vertical it's the dark green stems of the flowers that work great as a lower frame. On the horizontal photo, I also let the perceived front of the power pole face towards the middle of the photo instead of out of it. All these compositional techniques are some I cover in my 2 ebooks on composition in landscape photography. Both ebooks are easy to read with minimal text and loads of photos to get to the point fast. Thanks to all of you who already have them and for the mighty fine 5-star reviews. There is a link in the description of the video for both ebooks. So I've come over to another place and I'm really just sitting here on my knees at the side of the road. And what I was originally attracted to was actually some trees you can see over here, but I need a bit more light on the foreground before that is a shot worth taking. So right now I'm photographing in this direction. You can see the sun is up here and it's like beaming light down through the clouds and it looks amazing. So I'm simply just using the rolling hills of rapeseed here in the foreground and photographing straight towards that light out there. It looks quite beautiful. It is just about getting a proper angle. So something like this here. F9 ISO 100 gives me a shutter speed of 1/120th of a second. Looks gorgeous. See here. Also shooting some verticals. Absolutely epic, simple and beautiful. So the point about wide angle lenses not being landscape lenses is that saying that wide angle lenses are particularly good at landscape photography is just not right. Longer lenses, telephoto lenses, normal zoom lenses are just as good. And the light is just fantastic right now. But the point being that any lens is a good landscape lens. It's not about the lens, it's about the scene you're photographing and how much you want to include and exclude. And right now I just want to make it so simple. All I needed right there would be a lone tree. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers. This also looks amazing. Or a bird. A bird would be good. Yeah. So as I just said, what I was originally attracted to were that line of trees over there on the other side, like right here. And when I came, it was mainly clear, so some clouds have moved in above them, which looks really nice, gives some contrast. The trees are standing out. And the sun is up here, and hopefully there will be a hole, this hole here in the clouds will move this way, so the sun will come out and hopefully will light up the foreground. That is all I need. It is all I'm asking for. And if you zoom all the way in, you can see there's a little bit of a farm that I cannot avoid including it in the photo. So I will clone that out in Photoshop afterwards. But right now the sun may come out and I may get the shot. So excuse me while I'm getting the photo. I need to focus on this one and not talk too much. I most often find that wide-angle lenses work well when I'm either in a tight area and close to whatever it is I want to photograph, or I am in front of some kind of subject and want to include some kind of foreground. This is often the case in mountainous areas where I want to emphasize either a waterfall or the drama of a landscape with sharp rocks or something like that. However, in open landscapes or forest areas that I mainly have access to in Denmark, it is usually the mid-range focal lengths or long focal lengths I end up using. This is either because I need to zoom into some specific detail, exclude a lot of the surrounding landscape, or deliberately aim for that perspective compression effect where it seems the foreground and background aren't too far apart. That being said, there are plenty of wide open landscapes, even in countries like Iceland or the Faroes, where the longer focal lengths work incredibly well either for zooming into specific details or making the compression effect. This is why I consider all lenses landscape lenses, or at least all focal lengths usable for landscape photography. So I've been driving a little bit around in the countryside here, but there is a lack of lone trees out here in this area. So I've actually just come back to the place I was just before for sunset, and those trees there in combination with the foreground rapeseed field, and then I have a little bit of cloud here, and as you can see the sun is coming down, so hopefully that cloud will catch some light when the sun comes down in a proper angle. And until then I am photographing a little bit towards that line of trees over there. Sadly the sky isn't too interesting, so I'm not entirely sure how this is going to turn out. So I'm also giving it a go where I just shoot straight into the sun, but I actually think that it works quite well. There's a little bit of layer of clouds in front of the sun, but as you can see here, whoops, wrong way. I actually have quite the nice composition in the foreground and then straight into the sun, and then I think I will just crop the photo up here maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but I actually think this could actually look pretty cool. So straight into the sun at 135 millimeter, so a nice telephoto length. So the sun has now come down and it's throwing a little bit of glow up on the underside of that cloud, but I am in doubt whether it will actually, like, you know, really explode. Maybe there's a little bit. I'm a little bit in doubt about the tree shot I got, or whether it's better than what I got before, but yeah, right now, f16, ISO 100, I'm on the tripod, so now the shutter speed can just decrease and decrease and decrease. There's almost no wind, so I won't get like too wavy rapeseed here in the front. So I'll just keep shooting. I'm pretty sure I got a pretty cool one with the sun coming down, but else I'll just keep shooting until there's no more colors, and I think I will call this a day / afternoon. So yeah, here are some photos. Before I show you a little bonus clip, be aware if you want to learn how I edit my photos, my Photoshop for Landscape Photographers course covers everything from actually getting used to Photoshop over masking, luminosity masking, handling of atmosphere, cleaning photos and removing unwanted objects, like in many of the photos I showed in this video, blending photos, mistakes to avoid, how my editing philosophy about respecting the light blends into all of it, and much more. There is a link and a coupon code in the description of the video, which you can use to save a bit of money. So here is a small bonus segment, because I've come out here in daylight. I'm actually directly front lit on my subject, which is not always optimal, but I would say that with yellow flowers, green trees and a blue sky, it actually looks really nice. The colors are so clean and so pure relative to when you're photographing during sunset or sunrise, the golden hour. So I put on my polarizing filter. It's not making a big difference, only a small difference when I'm front lit like this, but it does make a difference. So just as with the other photos, go down and find an angle where I get a little bit of the foreground, a little bit out of focus, shooting at f11, ISO 100, and it gives me a shutter speed of 1/125th of a second. And it looks actually really nice with these colors also. So remember to enroll in my Photoshop course if you want to learn something about that. Get my ebooks on composition in landscape photography if that's something you want to learn something about, and let me know down in the comments which one of the many different kinds of photos you prefer the most. The epic photos with the dark clouds behind, the sunset photo, or actually these midday photos. I'm curious to hear your opinion down in the comments. As always, I would highly appreciate a like. I've already said check out the links in the description, so yeah. Thank you so much for watching.